Dad perfect events. I was the only one without a gift under the Christmas tree, but I didn't cry. I reached into my jacket pocket and everything changed. My name is Howard Phillips. I'm 68 years old, and I live alone in a brick ranch house just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. Been there 22 years, ever since Ruth and I saved enough for the down payment. She passed 6 years ago. Cancer took her quick, which was both a blessing and a curse. We had 42 good years together. She made the best cornbread you ever tasted and could fix a leaky faucet faster than most plumbers. After Ruth died, I figured I'd fade away too. That's what happens to guys like me, right? You work 35 years as an HVAC technician, retire with a small pension, and wait for your time. But life had other plans. I hadn't heard from my son Nathan in over a year. Not a real conversation anyway. Maybe a text on my birthday, a photo of the grandkids at Halloween. That was it. Nathan married into the Kane family 8 years ago, and things changed. His wife's brother Trevor started showing up to everything. Family dinners, holiday planning, even fishing trips that used to be just me and Nathan. Trevor had opinions about everything, especially about what was best for the family. Trevor Kane was one of those guys who dressed too nice for casual occasions and talked about his business investments like they were military operations. He worked in commercial real estate, drove a BMW, and had strong opinions about retirement communities and aging in place. Every conversation seemed designed to remind you that he was successful and you weren't keeping up. The calls from Nathan got shorter. The visits stopped. When I'd suggest getting together, there was always some conflict with Trevor's schedule or the kids' activities. I got the message. I wasn't part of their inner circle anymore. So, when my phone rang on a Tuesday morning in December and I saw Nathan's name, my first thought was somebody died. "Dad," Nathan said, sounding nervous. "How are you doing?" "Still breathing," I told him. "What's wrong?" He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Nothing's wrong. Listen, we're having Christmas at our place this year. The whole family. Trevor thought it would be nice if you joined us," Trevor thought. Not Nathan, not his wife. Trevor. "I appreciate the invitation," I said slowly. "The kids have been asking about you," Nathan added quickly. "And it's been too long. We should spend Christmas together." I almost said no. The last family gathering I went to was 4 years ago. Christmas Eve at their old house. I brought gifts for everyone and watched from the couch while they opened presents. My name got skipped over. Nobody noticed. Even Beverly, my granddaughter who used to call me every week, was too busy with her phone to look up. But something made me say yes. Maybe I wanted to see how far things had fallen. Maybe I was curious about this new family dynamic. Or maybe I just missed my grandkids. "I'll be there," I said. After I hung up, I walked to my workshop in the garage. That's where I'd been spending most of my time since Ruth died. Not fixing things anymore, but learning. I had a computer set up on the old workbench, notebooks full of scribbled ideas, and a stack of business books I'd been working through. See, after that last Christmas when I felt invisible, I decided I had two choices. I could sit around feeling sorry for myself, or I could do something useful with all this extra time. I chose option 2. I started with YouTube videos about home maintenance. Seems obvious now, but at the time it felt like climbing Mount Everest. I'd spent 35 years fixing heating and cooling systems with my hands. Talking to a camera felt ridiculous. My first attempt was a disaster. I recorded myself explaining how to change an HVAC filter and forgot to turn on the camera. Second try, the audio didn't work. Third try, I sounded like I was reading from a funeral program, but I kept at it. How to change your HVAC filter. Without calling a repairman finally went live after a week of retakes. Got 12 views. Most of them were probably bots, but 3 people left comments saying it helped them. That felt good. The learning curve was steep. I spent hours watching other YouTubers, trying to figure out editing software, learning about thumbnails and keywords. Some nights I'd be in the garage until 2 a.m., frustrated with technology that seemed designed by and for people half my age. Ruth always said I was stubborn. Turns out stubborn was exactly what I needed. I kept making videos, winter furnace prep for seniors, reading your energy bill like a pro, when to DIY and when to call the experts. Nothing fancy, just me explaining stuff in plain English. The views started adding up slowly. 50 here, 100 there. I was learning that consistency mattered more than perfection. Then I discovered something called affiliate marketing. When I recommended a specific air filter or thermostat, I could earn a small commission if someone bought it through my link. First month, I made $23. Not exactly retirement money, but it was something. It proved that people valued what I had to say. I expanded from YouTube to a blog called Second Chapter Stories. Not just HVAC stuff, but general advice for guys like me who were starting over after loss or retirement. How to live alone without going crazy. Simple home projects to stay busy. Budget tips for fixed incomes. The name came to me one afternoon while I was replacing a ceiling fan. This wasn't a restart, it was a second chapter. Setting up the blog was another mountain to climb. WordPress, hosting, domain names, might as well have been written in ancient Greek. I spent $200 on an online course called Blogging for Beginners Over 60 and watched every video twice. The instructor was a woman named Carol from Oregon who'd started her quilting blog at 62. If she could figure it out, so could I. The audience grew slowly but steadily. Comments came in from guys in similar situations. Some were widowers like me, others were dealing with health issues or family problems that made them feel useless. They appreciated straight talk from someone who understood their situation. No sugarcoating, no false inspiration, just practical advice from someone who'd been there. I learned about email lists and started a weekly newsletter called Monday Morning Common Sense. Every week, I'd send out one practical tip and one personal story. Subscribers started responding with their own stories. A guy in Minnesota told me about winterizing his cabin. Another in Arizona shared his experience with solar panels. Before I knew it, I had a community of men who were building things, fixing things, learning things. The breakthrough came from a guy named Gary in Phoenix. He wrote about a problem with his heat pump, weird noises, inconsistent temperatures, and a repair estimate for $800. I walked him through the diagnosis over email, had him check a few simple things, and we figured out it was just a dirty coil and a loose wire. Saved him the service call and probably $600 in unnecessary repairs. Gary was so grateful he sent me $50 through PayPal and suggested I offer paid consultations. Hank, he wrote, there are thousands of guys out there getting ripped off because they don't know what you know. That's how Golden Years Ventures LLC was born. I filed the paperwork online, set up a business checking account, and started offering phone consultations for $75 per hour. Home maintenance advice, energy efficiency assessments, contractor recommendations. I figured if I could help one or two guys a week, it would be decent pocket money. Word spread through online forums and Facebook groups for retirees and DIY enthusiasts. My first month, I booked 8 hours of consultations. Made $600 talking to guys about problems I'd solved hundreds of times during my working years. It felt good to be useful again. Within 6 months, I was booking 15 to 20 hours per week, some weeks more, especially before winter when everyone was worried about their furnaces. I created a simple booking system and learned to use video calls when guys wanted to show me their equipment. But the real money came from digital products. I started with the Senior Homeowner's Winter Checklist, just a 12-page PDF with everything a guy needed to do before cold weather hit. Priced it at $19.99 and sold 200 copies the first month. That was $4,000 for work I did once. I kept creating guides, HVAC maintenance for regular guys, how to talk to contractors without getting ripped off, energy bills. Explained what those numbers really mean. Each one solved a specific problem for a specific group of people. They weren't bestsellers, but they sold steadily. The YouTube channel grew too, but slowly. After 2 years, I had about 25,000 subscribers. Not huge numbers, but loyal viewers who actually watched the videos and bought the products. My most popular video was how to cut your heating bill in half, 95,000 views and counting. The ad revenue from that single video paid my property taxes. Some months were better than others. January and February were always slow. Nobody wants to think about maintenance when it's cold. But spring and fall were busy. Guys getting ready for temperature changes, planning projects, dealing with problems that winter had revealed. The numbers kept growing. YouTube ad revenue, affiliate commissions from tools and equipment I recommended, consultation fees, digital product sales. I tracked everything in a simple spreadsheet. By my 67th birthday, I was earning more money than my HVAC pension. The business was growing about 10% each quarter. Not explosive growth, but steady and sustainable. I didn't tell Nathan about any of it. Why would I? He never asked how I was doing, what I was working on, or if I needed anything. As far as he knew, I was just another lonely old man watching TV and waiting for Social Security checks. But I wasn't just building a business. I was building a life. Every morning I'd get up with something to do. Emails to answer, videos to plan, problems to solve. I had people counting on me again, men who trusted my advice and paid for my expertise. The loneliness didn't completely go away, but it changed. Instead of feeling forgotten, I felt focused. Instead of waiting for family to include me, I was creating my own community of people who valued what I brought to the table. The drive to Nathan's house took 3 hours. I packed light, one bag, a few wrapped gifts, and a folder of documents I'd printed the night before. Nothing expensive, but thoughtful presents. A book about college scholarships for Beverly, a nice pocket knife for Nathan, a gift card to that fancy kitchen store for his wife. Nathan's house was bigger than I remembered. 2-story colonial in a neighborhood where all the lawns looked like golf courses. Trevor's BMW was in the driveway next to a brand new Escalade with temporary tags still in the window. Nathan answered the door wearing a sweater that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "Dad, you made it." He gave me one of those quick pat-on-the-back hugs. "Come on in. Everyone's here." The living room was like something from a magazine. White furniture, expensive decorations, a Christmas tree that must have cost $200 just for the ornaments. Everything perfectly arranged and completely sterile. It felt more like a showroom than a home. Trevor came around the corner, holding a glass of wine that was probably older than my truck. "Howard," he said with that too big smile that never reached his eyes. "Great to see you. How's retirement treating you?" "Can't complain," I said. "Good, good. You know, we were just talking about you. Nathan mentioned you've been keeping busy with some computer projects." The way he said computer projects made it sound like I was playing solitaire all day. Beverly appeared from the kitchen, 18 years old now, heading to college next fall. She gave me a real hug, the kind that meant something. Her parents had done a good job with her, despite everything else. "Hi, Grandpa Hank," she said. "I missed you." That was the first genuine moment since I'd walked in the door. They put me in the guest room upstairs. Small space, outdated furniture, thin towels. The kind of room that says, "You're welcome, but not really welcome." I unpacked my few things and came down for dinner. The dining room table was set like they were expecting the governor. Multiple forks, cloth napkins, candles that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a week. The conversation was all about Trevor's latest deals and Nathan's promotion at work. Beverly talked about college applications. I mostly listened, answered questions when asked, and tried to remember when family dinners used to include me instead of happening around me. After dinner, Trevor suggested we move to the living room for the adult conversation. He poured himself another wine and settled into what was obviously his usual chair, the big leather recliner positioned to face everyone else in the room. "Howard," he said, swirling his wine like he was conducting an orchestra, "we've been meaning to talk to you about some things. Family planning stuff." I sat back in the uncomfortable straight-back chair and waited. "Nathan's been worried about you living alone in that big house. And with your age, well, there are considerations we need to discuss." Nathan shifted in his seat like his clothes didn't fit right. "Dad, we just want to make sure you're prepared for the future." "What kind of preparations?" I asked. Trevor leaned forward, getting into his sales mode. Estate planning, healthcare directives, maybe looking at some senior communities in the area, places where you'd have support if you need it. "I see. Nothing immediate," Trevor continued, but his tone suggested otherwise. "But it's better to plan ahead. I know some excellent elder care attorneys, and there are some really nice assisted living facilities nearby, active adult communities with golf courses and organized activities." I could see where this was heading. They'd had meetings about me, probably spreadsheets, maybe even visited some of these places to check them out. "You've given this some thought," I said. "We care about you, Dad," Nathan said quietly, but he wouldn't look directly at me when he said it. Trevor pulled out his phone and started scrolling through something. "I actually have some brochures in my car. Beautiful places, really. And with the equity in your house, you could afford one of the nicer communities." There it was, the equity in my house. My assets, my future, being planned by people who hadn't bothered to ask what I wanted. Well, I said, keeping my voice level, I appreciate the concern. Let me think about it. That seemed to satisfy them for now. Trevor put his phone away and started talking about his latest real estate development project. Nathan nodded along like a bobblehead. Beverly sat quietly, sketching something in a notebook. We watched some television and called it a night. As I headed upstairs, I heard Trevor telling Nathan something about getting the ball rolling on this, and sooner rather than later. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around me. Somewhere downstairs I could hear Trevor and Nathan talking in low voices, planning my future probably, deciding what was best for the old man who couldn't take care of himself anymore. Christmas morning came with coffee that was too weak and bacon that was too crispy. The family gathered around the tree at 9 a.m. sharp. Trevor had his phone out, taking pictures of everything like he was documenting evidence for some future purpose. The gift exchange started with the kids. Beverly got a MacBook and hugged her parents with genuine appreciation. Her younger brother got some gaming equipment and barely looked up from the box long enough to mumble thanks. Nathan got golf accessories from his wife, a new bag, some clubs, expensive stuff. She got jewelry that she'd obviously picked out herself, judging by her complete lack of surprise. I sat in the corner chair and watched the ritual unfold. Wrapping paper flew everywhere. Thank yous were exchanged with the efficiency of a business transaction. Pictures were taken for social media. The pile of gifts under the tree got smaller and smaller. Then Trevor looked around like he'd just noticed something was wrong. "Wait," he said, scanning the room with theatrical concern. "Did we miss anyone?" They all looked around, at the empty space where my gifts should have been. At me, sitting in the corner with empty hands and a coffee mug. "Oh no," Nathan's wife said, covering her mouth with her hand. "Howard, I'm so sorry. With all the planning and the kids' lists and Trevor helping coordinate everything, I must have..." She trailed off. Trevor shrugged with practiced casualness. "Well, you know what they say. Christmas is about being together, not about the presents, right, Howard? At our age, we don't really need more stuff cluttering up the house anyway." Beverly looked embarrassed. Nathan stared at his hands. The room got quiet in that uncomfortable way that happens when everyone knows something's wrong, but nobody wants to address it directly. That's when I reached into my jacket pocket. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice calm and conversational, "I got myself something this year." I pulled out the folder I'd brought and set it on the coffee table. Simple manila folder with about 10 pages inside. "What's that?" Nathan asked. "Remember those computer projects Trevor mentioned yesterday?" I opened the folder and laid out the first page. Well, they turned into something bigger than I expected. The page showed my quarterly earnings report for Golden Years Ventures LLC. Revenue, expenses, net profit, all official and documented with my accountant's signature at the bottom. Trevor squinted at the numbers like he was trying to solve a puzzle. "What exactly am I looking at here?" "My business," I said simply, "started about 3 years ago. Online consulting and digital products for homeowners, mostly guys my age who want to maintain their homes without getting ripped off." Nathan picked up one of the pages. His eyes got wide. "Dad, what is this?" "YouTube channel called Second Chapter Stories. 65,000 subscribers. Blog gets about 35,000 unique visitors per month. Email list with 9,000 people who pay $15 a month for my premium newsletter." I flipped to the next page. This shows my consultation bookings. $75 per hour for phone advice on home maintenance, energy efficiency, contractor recommendations. That alone brings in about $12,000 per quarter. Trevor was studying the paperwork now, his wine forgotten on the side table. "Then there's the digital products," I continued. "Home maintenance guides, seasonal checklists, troubleshooting manuals. I've got about 25 different products that sell for $15 to $50 each. They sell themselves once you build the audience." I pointed to the bottom line on the quarterly report. Last quarter, after all expenses, Golden Years Ventures brought in $38,247. The room was dead silent. Even Beverly's brother had put down his game controller. "You made $38,000 in 3 months?" Nathan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes. Business is growing about 10% each quarter. This year I'll probably clear $150,000. Beverly was grinning now, like she'd just watched her grandfather hit a home run. Trevor looked like he was trying to solve a math problem that didn't add up. But how? Nathan asked. I mean, when did you learn how to do this? Same way I learned everything else. One step at a time. YouTube videos, online courses, trial and error. Turns out 35 years of fixing things and explaining problems to customers was pretty good training for digital. Consulting. I pulled out another page. This is my YouTube analytics. Most popular video has 95,000 views. How to cut your heating bill in half brought in enough ad revenue to pay my property taxes for 2 years. Trevor finally found his voice. Howard, this is really something. Thank you. I mean, building a business like this at your age. It's impressive. Very impressive. Nathan was still staring at the numbers. Dad, why didn't you tell me about this? I looked at him directly. When would I have told you? We haven't had a real conversation in 2 years. And yesterday you spent an hour explaining why I need to move to assisted living, because I can't take care of myself. That landed hard. Nathan looked down at his hands again. But this is incredible, Trevor said, his tone completely different now. You've basically created a media company. Do you have plans to scale it? Bring on partners? I have marketing connections that could help you reach a much bigger audience. And there it was. The moment I'd been waiting for. No, I said simply. No? No, Trevor. I'm not interested in partners or scaling or any of that. Trevor blinked. But with the right backing, you could multiply this, turn it into a real company. I know investors who would love this kind of proven concept. I gathered up my papers and put them back in the folder. Let me ask you something, Trevor. Yesterday you were explaining why I need estate planning and assisted living because I can't manage my own affairs. Today you want to help me expand my business. Which one is it? The room got quiet again, but this time it was a different kind of quiet. Yesterday you were worried about my cognitive abilities, I continued. Today you want to leverage my business acumen. That's not family concern. That's opportunity recognition. Nathan started to say something, but I held up my hand. I built this from nothing. No help, no advice, no encouragement from any of you. I learned new skills at 65 because I had to. Because sitting around waiting for family visits that never came wasn't working for me. I stood up and tucked the folder under my arm. The business stays mine. The decisions stay mine. And I'll continue running it from my house, which I'm perfectly capable of maintaining myself. Beverly stood up too. Grandpa Hank, can I ask you something? Sure, honey. Would you teach me some of this stuff? I'm thinking about business school, and this is way more interesting than anything they're probably going to show me. I smiled, the first real smile I'd had since walking in the door. I'd love to. Trevor was quiet now, sipping his wine and thinking. Nathan looked confused, like the world had shifted when he wasn't paying attention. Well, I said, I think I'll head back home. Got some work to catch up on. Newsletter goes out Monday morning, and I never miss a deadline. You're leaving already? Nathan asked. Beverly, walk me to the car? She grabbed her jacket and followed me. Outside. The air was crisp and clean, perfect for a drive. Grandpa, that was amazing, she said quietly. What was amazing? The way you handled Uncle Trevor. He's been making plans for you like you couldn't think for yourself. I looked at her. You noticed that? Of course I noticed. Everyone acts like you're some old man who doesn't know anything. But you've always been the smartest person in the room. You just don't need to prove it most of the time. I hugged her properly. You stay in touch, okay? And if you're serious about learning the business side of things, I could use help with the social media marketing. You'd be perfect for it. Really? Really. And Beverly? Don't let anyone tell you you're too young to understand something. Age doesn't make you smart. Experience does. And paying attention does. I got in my truck and rolled down the window. One more thing. When you get to college, remember that the most valuable education happens when you're solving real problems for real people. Everything else is just theory. The drive home was peaceful. I put on some classic country and took my time. No rush, no pressure, no family drama. Just me and the road and the satisfaction of a job well done. When I got home, I made a cup of coffee and sat down at my computer. I had a newsletter to write for Monday morning, 3 consultations scheduled for the week, and a new video to plan about dealing with difficult family dynamics. I opened my email and saw 52 new messages from subscribers, questions about winter maintenance, budget heating tips, requests for contractor recommendations. Real people with real problems who valued my advice and paid for my expertise. This was my family now. These were my people. At the top of my newsletter draft, I typed, "Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the gift of not waiting for other people to notice your worth." 6 months later, Trevor called to ask if I'd consider partnering with his real estate firm to create content for their senior clients. I politely declined and suggested he might benefit from my course on building trust with customers over 50. He didn't take me up on it. Beverly started college with a small scholarship funded by Golden Years Ventures. She calls me every Sunday to update me on her business classes and help me plan my social media strategy. She's got good instincts for marketing. Nathan and I talk more now, but differently. He treats me like an adult with opinions worth hearing instead of a problem that needs managing. We're working on rebuilding what we lost. And me? I'm 69 now, making more money than I ever did fixing air conditioners. And I wake up every morning with something meaningful to do, something that matters to people who need what I know. Turns out the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting busy building something that outlasts the people who tried to count you out. I learned that waiting for respect is a waste of time. You earn it by building something worth respecting. And the funny thing about getting older, you finally stop caring what people think and start caring about what you think of yourself.